Well, people, the stock market was down again, and it continues to go down. Right now, in 5 days, the stock market has lost 10% of its gains since the year started. It's lost 11.5% since the beginning of the year. It's lost almost 11.5% in the last 3 months this man took office. So you know what? I'm at a point now where I'm like, you know what? Just let the man have it. Let him do it because the Congress is letting them do it anyway. They've given them so much power that the Congress should have that it doesn't matter anymore. And now they're afraid because they can't take the power back. And do you remember in his first term when he was saying he was chosen by God and he alone can fix it? He is still talking that same bullshit right now.
We're going to have one shot at this, and no other president's going to do this, what I'm doing. And I'll tell you what, it's an honor to do it because we have been just destroyed, what they've done to our system. And nobody but me would do this. Nobody but me would do this. You know, it would be nice to serve a nice, easy term, but we have an opportunity to change the fabric of our country. We have an opportunity to reset the table. It's the only chance our country will have to reset the table because no other president would be willing to do what I'm doing or to even go through it. Now, I don't mind going through it because I see a beautiful picture at the end.
And I'm going to tell you what that big, beautiful picture is in a moment. But I want you to listen to this a portion of this New York Post article that was written about what Trump is trying to do and how it's not going to happen, not even in his 4 years.
The Post writes this: the global economy can't be changed in a day. The offshoring of American manufacturing happened over decades, and even if tariffs have their desired effect, it will take years for domestic production to return. And that's a big if. Mr. President, you have the world in a panic. Rather than take a blunderbuss to the world's economy, pick your targets carefully. China and Vietnam may be fair game, but why hurt allies as much as economic foes or rivals? Why not negotiate a free trade zone with the EU, as Elon Musk suggested over the weekend? Why instead drive our allies away from U.S. markets and into the arms of those very same competitors who pose America the greatest threat? The most immediate benefit will be what Wall Street craves most: specificity and clarity. Show that there's an upside that does not require 2 generations and a tractor trailer of wishful thinking.
Listen, MAGA, I'm trying to be your friend. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in his 4 years. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying in the 5, 10, 15 years, and did you hear what they said? They said a big if. Even if the manufacturers came here, that's no guarantee that our economy will pick up. But I told you about that big, beautiful picture that Trump was talking about. He wants to take America back to the 1950s when we were a manufacturing powerhouse. The 50s, the 40s, the 30s, the 20s, maybe not the 30s, but the 1898s. That's when manufacturing was in America. Now, everybody shipped everything overseas, and it's been that way for 40, 50, 60 years. So to get those plants back here is going to take that much or longer. And then there's no guarantee that the jobs will be there, because after you finish building the factories, you MAGA nuts, who's going to work the factories? Who's going to sit there and sew up Jordans and expect to get paid $7 an hour, $4 an hour, $8 an hour? Nobody wants that. And Nike is not going to want to pay your 401k, your medical, and your dental, and pay you $25, $30 an hour. They're not going to do it. Here's one last problem, and I'm going to leave you alone.
And they're essentially asking Southeast Asian countries right now to choose whether to go with China or America. Vietnam. And I was in Southeast Asia recently and talking to leaders over there, and they don't want to choose, and they don't think they can choose because their economies are so entwined with China. They're sitting next to China. The idea of turning their back on China is almost impossible.
Now, I'm not an expert on global politics, but when you have a country like Taiwan in the backyard of their enemy, and they have to have some kind of relations with that enemy, they're not just going to blatantly turn their back. But the U.S. is trying to say us or them, and it doesn't work that way. That's why Richard Nixon can go shake hands with Mao in China back in the 70s. That's why FDR can hang out with Stalin in the 1940s. We have got to get along to an extent with our enemies as well as our friends. We cannot tell our friends to turn their back on the enemy that's in their backyard. But to give Vietnam and South Korea and Japan an ultimatum like that, you're forcing their hand, and they may end up going with China because China is in their backyard. And China can say, look, we're here. Yeah, the United States got bases over here, but to get a full fleet over here to get into a war, they're not going to move as fast as we are. We're right here in your backyard. We're right here on your border. So come side with us. What do you think Taiwan is going to do? At the same time, they can't say, "Well, I gotta shun the U.S." because a lot of American companies are in Taiwan, and it's a powder keg that Trump has no plan to solve. We need somebody in there with a little bit more strategic thinking to fix this. But no, Trump is there now because you wanted him there. So let him freaking fix it. Don't give him the power to just go and blatantly do what the hell he want to do because it's obvious he don't know what he's doing. And he's just throwing shit to the wall hoping to stick. He has a spaghetti string strategy. Take it, throw it, hope it sticks. And we'll figure it out once it's done. That's what he's been doing. But it's okay because he's going to make America great again. 1950s great. What do you think?